Hola, everyone. Nice to see all of you people. I'm Soren Mikael from Denmark, and I'm here to talk about an experiment that we did just ended 3 weeks ago about a digital concert hall. And I just said to Anna that I'm truly happy to be invited here to your wonderful city. And I hope you can make just a little learning, because I know you already do a lot. All right, digital concert hall, a pilot. We haven't done it for real yet. DO, I'm working very closely together with DO, which is the Danish organization for orchestras and chamber orchestras, ensembles, and so on. Have been wanting to try this out for some years, but during the pandemic, it was obvious that lots of orchestras were streaming themselves, but how about building something together? So we wanted to check out how the Danes would respond to a common platform with digital content. Could we produce quality content, sound and pictures? And what should it be like on a future platform if we were ever going to build it for real? And also, what kind of market would that platform compete in? Because once you're digital, you're global. And what kind of target groups potentially could be interesting? And the yellow ones are the one I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to look at all this from the perspective of the audience and what they do and do not do when they are in the concert hall. Yeah, we built on user insights to start with from 2020, where we made a big survey in Denmark about how Danes go to physical concert venues. At that time, we did some segmentation of the users. We use a British segmentation system called MHM. Some of you probably already know it. And we chose 3 segments as target groups because we wanted to be very specific about what we did online. The first segment we chose was a segment called Expression. They are very fond of classical music as well. They love culture, and they are the ones who gather people around them. So they always try to find something that suits everybody. And they are quite keen on actual or current affairs, so they think it has to be in a kind of modern setting when they do something cultural-wise. We also targeted affirmation, which is a concept that is a bit younger than expression, but they are a striving type of audience. They are building their own identity. They know that culture is important if you want to climb the social ladder in society, so they kind of build themselves. They're very considered, meaning they are very picky about what they should attend, and they want to be absolutely sure what they go for is a popular thing, so they like to tick that box and say, now I know Mozart, for instance. That's quite important for them. And the last segment we chose was Essence segment, which they can't breathe without culture. So they really are also very picky. They want to enjoy new things, but they don't want to be told by others what they should choose. They think that their own taste is the best taste. So they are a bit difficult to work with as well. They're very sophisticated. So these were the 3 segments that we were addressing with the content and the music in the concert hall. So we did a lot of development this spring. We brought in people from tech industry, from innovation labs, music people, of course, communication, media, to gather and to work on creating new digital content and formats that would actually be interesting for these online viewers. And they came up with 3 overall concepts. One of the concepts in the digital hall was what you call a live evening from start to end with, as you can see, lots of interviews, a presenter to bring you through the whole night. And it was mostly for Essence because we thought that they would like this experience of a great concert all night long. And then we developed some curated playlists, as we call them. It could be playlists that was put together from all kind of pieces of classical music, but in moods. It could be like, I'm having a heartache, or I want to experience a romantic evening, or all of that kinds of things. It could also be the most popular pieces of art in there as well. So we made this curated list mostly for affirmation and expression, because we have an idea that they would appreciate this kind of presenting the content. And the last overall format was Go Discover. So we created a lot of small digital formats that would help you discover music or musicians or stories generally about music. Just to take you through a short some of the formats. This is, as you may know, Ty Murray, who did a concert, and we did the recording of the concert, and I will talk about her a little later. So we built what we call a digital lounge or red carpet lounge. 20 minutes before the concert opens, the lounge opens for the virtual audiences, and they can meet the presenter. They can see interviews with some of the musicians tonight. They can get a reportage or a story about where the concert is taking place. We played with the idea of digital classical music tourists. So it was a kind of lots of content about, even though it was a live evening. And when we worked with what we called a friendly farewell, which was after the concert, the presenter talked with the musical manager, like in a sports game. How did it all went tonight? Are you satisfied? Was the whole thing okay? Or in some of cases, what was it that we were listening to? Because it could be hard to tell. And then we also worked with, for instance, I'm just giving some examples here, with the Ty Murray reportage was that we would like to tell the situation. What is it like when you have been playing a concert for 1.5 hours? Do you feel just like the handball match when it's over? They did. They were playing Schubert for an hour. So Ty Murray and her fellow musicians were just celebrating high on adrenaline. And that was just that kind of 2 minutes in the dressing room. And then the evening was over. So we did the listen concept as well. A well-known musician in Denmark picks the best 30 seconds, the most sublime 30 seconds from the most sublime piece of music, and tells us why this is so fantastic. It was quite a popular format as well. And we did some relaxation videos, drone shots for a easy or a quiet piece of Rachmaninoff or something like that. It worked as well. And lots of reportage. Reportage about rehearsals, backstage things, all of that. But we were quite keen to target these groups. So we worked with, for instance, going deeper into the art for art's sake, the piece of work and how it related to other pieces of work. Or it could be like the people behind. For instance, is it difficult to play the music that you are playing tonight? Which would be a wonderful thing for expression, because they really like to engage closer with the orchestra. Or we did something of a more, how was this music actually played out in the society at the time? What kind of role was it playing? So it could be like a current discourse as well. All right. Now for the, I think I have 5 takeaways. We tested this digital concert hall. There is 11 hours of concerts and content now at the platform. And then we let 50 people who kind of like classical music. Some of them like it a lot, some of them are new to classical music, but we let them in on the site, and they had 3 weeks to test it and to do whatever they like. And then we interviewed everybody about how they actually was what they were doing on the platform. And at the same time, we tracked what they were looking at and how long time they were looking at things. So if they said something, we could actually take the single user and go back and say, well, is he telling the truth or did he do something else? So we kind of hold those two pictures, pictures to one another. The first thing I can say is it has to be to the point. When you're digital, you don't spend time on things you are bored with. You go directly to the second part of the symphony if that is what you like. So you don't follow the analog pattern of being in a concert hall, but short music, as I said, shorter pieces of music was of course more popular. It was very hard to keep them at a concert. They spent enormous amount of time on this content, these narratives. Some of the users actually saw all the video content with narratives before even starting to listen or watch the concerts. That was very interesting. They told us that they wanted the whole concert, but they never went through with it. So they kind of picked again the pieces that they liked. I said that short videos were very popular. So what we learned here is that they like it to the point, but they also really like stories about music, narratives about music. The picture is a specialist in a gavotte dance, and he shows an example of that on the forefront at the harbor in front of the music house. It was the most popular video on the site because it looks a bit funny, as well as you learn about how to dance the gavotte. Right, so the story and the small portraits are very popular. And most of our users actually said they really liked the concert hall, but the unique thing about it was actually that they were told a lot of stories about music and how musicians rehearse and all of that. So they also said that some of them used to be a bit scared of walking into a concert hall. How should they behave? Here they could just behave just like they wanted to. So some of them found it more relevant to visit this concert hall instead of the physical concert hall because they felt they could be more themselves. The introduction, yes, they would never have chosen some sort of music if they haven't had these introductions. We can talk in the panel afterwards, but a small example of that was we have a concert in there with Unsuk Chin, who was in Copenhagen to get the Sonning Prize. And it can be a difficult music to listen to or to understand, but we did some reportage about how it's composed and how it's played out and so on. So people said, well, they actually listened to Unsuk Chin. They would have just skipped it because they didn't know it. But they thought it was interesting to hear about what they could do. Also important to know, content can divide and it can unite because we were testing 3 segments. And sometimes segments or types of audiences have a kind of allergies to one another. They don't like what others like and they don't want it to be there. But some of the small formats were very interesting for the 2 of the segments, affirmation and expression, and they were actually very keen to share this content outside the concert hall to other people that they think should know this. Many of them liked the listen format, which was the most sublime piece of music in a sublime piece of art, because it actually gave them some new knowledge about, I really love this piece of music because it's fantastic. Because they didn't know before and they didn't have the words for it, but now they suddenly had words for what they really liked. And Essence, which is of course very discerning, they actually said that, well, we can see this content is for people who don't know much, but it's okay, I don't have to use it. The fact is that Essence as well clicked on these formats, they just didn't tell us. Yes, they have allergies, Essence, so we are thinking now of giving them their own path through a digital site so that they have to bother with popular stuff as the other segments like. I can say this briefly. They love presenters. It's so important that there's someone saying, welcome, hello, how are you? I want to share this with you. Take them through the evening. All segments were absolutely agreed on that presenters was a must in a kind of concert hall. I also like to stress that when you are in the, I think that Thomas said this morning, we are moving from the physical world and we are moving into a world that is not existing, or the digital world. And it is absolutely very, very different what people say and do in a digital concert hall. They, as I said before, they go for highlights. They go for the parts of the music, regardless of how long or how short. They go for what they like instantly. As I said here, they pause, they eat, they take care of their children, they even have a quarrel with their mother. All sorts of things happen while you are watching the concert hall. But the important thing was that they really was eager to get back. So they really liked all the functions where you could put it on hold until you had time to get back and just pick it up again. And of course they wanted to bring it anywhere, in the train, bus, waiting for a meeting, anything, all kinds of devices was really interesting for them to have. All right, we have a discussion in, in Denmark now. No, that was fun. Oh, I was pointing in the wrong direction now. See, here it works. Right. We have a discussion about, is digital content valuable and should you pay for it? I think indeed you should pay for it, because paying for content actually means that you value it yourself. But the youngest people that we have in our target groups that we interviewed were the most willing to pay for content. It wasn't that hard a thing for them to put any kind of amount on the table that was reasonable. And they started to discuss this, our guests, among themselves, and they ended on €13 in all of our free focus groups, because that's 100 Danish kroner. So it was like, appropriate amount of money. But the oldest were a little bit more reluctant to pay, because they had lots of free services elsewhere. I think it's also important to say that all of these users, the youngest was 23, the oldest was 72, they are all absolutely fully digital. They use digital devices of all kinds. They buy music online, they buy access to all kinds of things. Actually, they thought that the orchestras was a little bit late, because they were already very occupied with lots of different radio stations and so on. There's nothing quite like this on the market, so they were, it's okay, I would like to pay for some of the content. And some of them also used it or thought about it as a part of a loyalty program and said, well, if I'm buying 10 concerts, could I get access and see like 3 or 4 concerts or access to the archive? All right, just to sum it up so we can move on. They are already digital indeed. The question is whether you are and you are ready to or want to be digital. It's a strategic question. It's a very difficult universe, as I'm saying, but you have to be playful and you have to hand over power, because people are not doing what you expect them to do. I think it can help a lot of people to discover classical music by telling stories about it that are interesting, and I think you should make them pay. Yes, that was it. I hope you enjoyed. I did enjoy it.